What's up, adventure travelers, and welcome to my review of the Honda XR150. This review is by special request from Shane from New Zealand. Thanks, Shane, for the request. It's a great idea, and I'll give you my thoughts on the XR150 over the last 2,200 kilometers that I've ridden it from one end of Vietnam to the other. So first up, why did I choose a Honda XR150 in the first place? Well, it looked a little bit off-roady, and I hate to say it, but looks do play a role in the motorbike you choose. But most importantly, I chose it because it's a Honda. I've owned 5 Honda motorcycles over my lifetime, and I'm a massive Honda fan. I'm a fan of Japanese motorcycles in general, even though I've owned a couple of Harley Davidsons. And the reason why I like Hondas is because of the reliability. Now, if you're going to take yourself to some far-flung corner of the world and ride from one end of the country to the other, personally, I think reliability is the #1 thing you need in a motorcycle, and Honda generally never fails to deliver on the reliability front. Another important factor in the decision of choosing the XR150 was the price point. It cost me $350 for the 3 weeks, and there's a saying out there that you should hire the smallest motorbike that your ego will allow. And nowhere is that truer than Southeast Asia. You don't need a big motorcycle over here. The speed limit out in the countryside is 60 kilometers an hour. I think it's 40 k's in town. So small is better. Let's do a walk around of this particular bike and see what you get for your money. Well, it has been pretty battered, I must say. I mean, it's in good nick. I mean, I haven't cleaned it in the last 2,000 kilometers, but it is a hire bike. And it is Vietnam, so you're not going to get a sparkly, nice bike. Most rental cars and bikes are pretty hammered, and I'd say this one has been too. That said, everything on it functions. There's not much to it, as you can see, and so there's no electronics. It's single cylinder, carbureted, no fuel gauge. Similar in lots of ways to my DR650. So if they're maintained, I'll just go and go and go. So crunch time. It's reliable. It's a good price point. It looks the part, and it's probably even not bad if you've got a little bit of dirt to go over, given the high mudguard and the little bit of off-road nature of the build of the bike. So would I recommend it to ride from one end of Vietnam to the other? Hell no. Do not hire this bike if you want to ride 2,000 kilometers around Vietnam. And I'll tell you why. First and foremost, this little puppy here. That's right, the seat. One of the most important parts of the motorcycle if you're going to be spending a long time on it. Now, don't get me wrong, the seat's not massively uncomfortable, but it is if you have to sit in it 5 hours a day. There's a reason why most people ride scooters around Vietnam, because of the big wide seats. But are you going to ride a scooter 2,000 kilometers from one end to Vietnam to the other? No. The second reason why I wouldn't rent this bike again to ride around Vietnam is legroom. Now, I'm just hazarding a guess here, but I dare say the average Vietnamese isn't the same height as the average Westerner. You end up not with your knees under your chin, but you know what I'm talking about. So between having a sore ass and your knees too high, you're pretty cramped sitting on that type of a motorcycle for 5 hours a day. So is it a bad motorcycle? Hell no, it's a great motorcycle. It's just not built for riding from one end of Vietnam to the other. I'd say it's a perfect motorcycle for semi-off-road in Vietnam, maybe farmers or something like that, just getting around areas with a bit of gravel and not meant to carry a heavy load. And I've only seen a few of these motorcycles on the road ridden by other people anyway. So there you go. Learn from my mistake. Is there a solution? Hell yes. I rented this bike from Style Motorcycles and they come highly regarded. I had an easy time communicating with them. They were very good while I was trying to sort out my arrival times. They were very flexible. And they have 3 great alternatives. They've got the Kawasaki Versys 300. I don't know much about that motorcycle. They have a Honda CB500X. I've actually owned a CB500X and they are great. Super comfortable. There's a guy named Luke Phillips that's riding one around the world. I dare say he's close to 200,000 kilometers on his CB500X, and there's also the CB150X available in Vietnam. I don't know much about that. I dare say it's a smaller version of the 500. Kawasaki 300 and Honda 500 are closer to $1,000 for the 3 weeks. The 150 is around 350, 400. So there is a big price point difference, and it's not insignificant, but if you want to enjoy the ride, then I would definitely go for the Kawasaki 300, or personally, I'm a Honda guy, I'd go for the Honda CB500X. The last thing I'd like to add is how I've gone about putting my luggage on the bike. I've just strapped it on and it's been secure the whole ride, but not ideal. If you can get a bike with panniers, then do that. And then your duffel bag that goes on the back doesn't have as much weight in it, and the weight's lower on the bike, and it'll just be a better all-round riding experience. So just to recap, my advice for hiring a bike around Vietnam is make sure you get a reliable bike. Honda's my brand, but I'm sure the other Japanese brands are just as good. Make sure it's got a comfortable seat. Make sure it's the right size, so you're not cramped in it. 150 cc's was okay. Probably something with a little bit more power. Probably wouldn't go below a 300. You definitely don't need more than a 500. And if you can get something with panniers, fantastic. Spend the extra money, especially if you're spending a number of weeks on the bike. It'll be so much more worth it. I wish I had. But having said that, I've had a great 2.5 weeks, whatever it's been on the bike. I'm an hour and a half away from Saigon, and looking forward to getting off the bike and being a tourist for a few days and having a few beers. Hope you enjoyed this review. It's been pretty slapdash, pretty informal, but that's my 10 cents worth. And whatever you do, just get out there and ride. See you on the road.